Liam's the kind of guy who's been worn thin by years of desk work, running on fumes and half-slept nights. His job drains him more than a soap opera with no season finale. And the only thing keeping him from collapsing is the love he gets from Mika and their daughter Kanami. When he finally gets home, Mika greets him at the door and brings up their daughter. She says Kanami's already asleep, but all day she's been going on and on about wanting a dog. Apparently she saw a Shiba at her friend's place and hasn't stopped thinking about it since. Liam knows they're tight on money, and getting a dog isn't exactly cheap. But after seeing Kanami fast asleep with that peaceful look on her face, he figures it might be worth it, even if it means working overtime to make it happen. The next morning, he takes her to a pet shop, and the way her face lights up makes it all feel worth it. Mika's surprised he agreed to something that would clearly add more to his already packed plate, but Liam shrugs it off. If keeping them happy means carrying more weight, then he'll do it without complaining. He thinks that love alone is enough to power through anything life throws at him, but he couldn't be further from the truth. The following day at work, his boss lays into him for not submitting a report. Liam calmly points out that he did send it on Thursday, but the boss was out partying at some club and missed the email. Still, he blames Liam anyway. Work is a minefield. His boss tosses blame like it's candy, and the team beneath him barely respects him enough to remember his name. They take credit for what he pulls off and dump every mistake on him. Every workday feels like walking barefoot through broken glass, but walking through the front door and seeing his family always resets something inside him. But then, the next morning while riding the train, he gets a text from his buddy Nita, who's excited about the latest Gundam release. Nita begs him to grab one, and Liam can't help but laugh, for all the mess life throws at them. Nita's love for Gundams never changes. Liam figures he's got a little time, so he hops off and pulls up Google Maps, trying to find the shop. The area is unfamiliar, and after a few wrong turns, he starts looking around, hoping something will point him in the right direction. That's when his eyes land on someone he knows all too well. His wife is sitting across from some guy, leaning in a little too close, smiling in a way she hasn't in a long time. Liam freezes. Mika told him she was taking Kanami to sword practice, yet here she is dressed up and laughing with someone who clearly isn't her husband. Later on, Liam walks through the door drained as always, and as he sets his bag down, he casually asks Mika what she did during the day. She looks calm and says she dropped Kanami off at sword practice like usual. He's about to confront her and say what he saw earlier, but in the moment, he holds back and forces a smile. He doesn't want to break the calm he works so hard to protect, so he tells himself maybe he misread the whole thing. Maybe it wasn't her, or maybe the guy was just someone she ran into. There's no way Mika would do something like that to him. Needing space, he decides to take a walk. He goes to shut down his computer, but the standby mode's been glitching again. So he powers the whole thing off until he gets back. He heads out and lets the night guide him through the city streets until he ends up near that same spot where he saw her before. It's empty now, which gives him a strange sense of relief. But the moment doesn't last long. He hears her voice again. She's on the phone, and she's not alone. Kanami is right there with her. Liam listens from a distance, still clinging to the idea that maybe this man is just a close friend. Then Kanami calls him Papa. The weight of that word crushes him. He walks away trying to make sense of it, thinking maybe there's a joke he missed or a habit they picked up when he wasn't around. Maybe it's just a game they play. Back at work, he barely sits down before his boss starts yelling at him again. Liam explains he's waiting for his computer to boot up since he had to turn it off due to standby problems. But the boss doesn't care and tells him he should stop taking breaks altogether. Then Liam's phone rings. It's Mika, her voice trembling as she tells him Kanami's been in an accident and he needs to get to the hospital. He rushes there as fast as he can and finds Mika pacing in the waiting area. She tells him Kanami is already in surgery. A doctor steps out and asks if they're both the child's parents. They say yes, and the doctor explains that Kanami needs a blood transfusion. He asks for their blood types. Liam says he's AB positive, and Mika says she's O negative. The doctor nods and tells Mika to come with him because Kanami's blood type is also O negative. Liam stands there confused, asking why his blood wouldn't work. The doctor answers plainly it doesn't match. While waiting, Liam pulls out his phone and does a quick search, and that's when the truth hits him. A child can't have O blood if one parent is AB. That's not how blood genetics work. There's only one conclusion left: Kanami isn't his. Liam finally hits his breaking point and confronts Mika. He asks if Kanami is really his daughter, but instead of answering, she flips it on him and says she's the one who should be upset, claiming he doesn't care about their family at all. She says he's always gone, and Liam tries to explain that he stays late at work to keep everything running, but Mika won't hear it. She says his job is useless since it never brought in real money or moved them forward in life. Liam, stunned, can't even process what he's hearing, but Mika doesn't stop. She lays it all out, saying it's been 10 years, and she's basically raised Konami on her own while he's done nothing but haunt the place like a ghost. She doesn't even touch the part where Konami might not be his. She tells him he was never part of this home and says she's taking Konami and leaving. Liam asks where she's going, but Mika ignores him and knocks on Konami's door, telling her it's time to leave. Liam tries to stop her, grabs her arm, begs her not to go, tells her he gave everything to raise Konami the right way. But then Konami cuts through the moment and says she'd rather be with her other dad. That one line destroys whatever hope Liam had left. The next morning, he shows up to work still shaken. Before he can catch his breath, his boss calls him in and accuses him of stealing 50 million yen. Liam denies it, but the transfer was done from his work computer and the logs are clear. Then he gets fired on the spot. Soon after, Mika uses his job loss as the perfect excuse to file for divorce. She even sues him for child support, even though Konami isn't his. To stay out of prison, Liam agrees to pay the money back by working in construction. But with how low the pay is, he knows he'll never finish paying it off in this lifetime. His world falls apart. The only thing that still gives him a bit of warmth is a message from Nida telling him about the new Gundam episode. Liam types up a reply, thinking maybe watching it will cheer him up, but deletes it. He doesn't want Nida to know how far he's sunk. He tells himself if he just keeps working, maybe things will change. But later that day, while eating lunch alone, he suddenly coughs blood onto his food. That's when it hits him bronchitis coup is already here. Later that evening, Liam lies in bed with his body aching and his breath shallow. The cough's gotten worse, and the blood won't stop. Getting proper help isn't even an option anymore since treatment costs money he doesn't have. All he can do is sit in silence, feeling his strength fading bit by bit. But right as everything starts to go dark, a strange glow appears above him. It swirls gently at first, then sharpens into a vision that plays before his eyes. What he sees makes his blood run cold. His boss was the one who transferred the money from his computer. The same boss Mika had been sneaking around with behind his back. Every word Mika said about being lonely or neglected was just part of the story. She never cared about Liam. To her, he was a tool to drain dry. She even helped frame him for the embezzlement to get him out of the picture. Liam doesn't want to believe it, but the more he watches, the more it all lines up. Then a voice breaks the silence. A man appears beside him and confirms that the vision is no lie. He asks if Liam plans to let them walk free after everything they've done. Liam's eyes flare with anger. He's had enough. He swears he won't let them get away with it, no matter what it costs. The man seems pleased. He says the fury in Liam's heart is exactly why he came, but Liam still doesn't know who this man is or what this moment even means. He asks the stranger who he's supposed to be and why he's here. The man says he took an interest in Liam because despite everything, Liam stayed good. But Liam isn't proud of that. Being good left him with nothing. If he could do it all again, he'd put himself first. That answer earns the man's approval. He tells Liam he's here to offer him a second shot at life in another world, and all Liam has to do is choose where he wants to go. Liam's not sure if this is real or a dream cooked up by a dying brain, but if he really gets to choose, he wants it to count. He remembers Nida mentioning something once about a Gundam world, and that sounds good enough for him. It's a place where magic and machines exist side by side, where powerful nobles and royals shape everything from above. Liam knows he could end up in a low place, maybe even as a farmer under some lord, but the man decides to help him out. Since he likes Liam, he'll give him a better start. He offers to make him the son of a count who rules an entire planet. Liam nods slowly, grateful for once. He signs the Isekai contract with the last bit of life he has left, and as his breath fades away, his soul moves on to a new world. On planet Hydra, today marks Liam's 5th birthday, and his mother has gone all out to make it special. She tells him she's got something just for him and floats into the next room using a spell. Liam follows, copying her spell with ease. Inside, he spots a massive cake and a large box sitting right next to it. Excited, Liam rushes over and tears the box open, only to find a strange-looking cube inside. His mother tells him it's not just a toy, it's the character creation module for his very own artificial intelligence made. With this device, he can design every aspect of her appearance. The mouth, the ears, the hair, and even other parts that are blurred out on the setting screen. Liam glances up and asks why she's giving something like this to a 5-year-old, but she says it's important for his future. Then his father joins the scene and says he has a gift too. Not just any gift, he's giving Liam the entire Banfield estate. Liam stares at him in disbelief, unsure if he heard that right. His father says it again clearly. He's handing everything over and naming Liam as the next count. But there's one catch. Now that he's ready to step down, he wants to retire with his wife to a peaceful villa, far away from responsibility. But to make that work, Liam needs to agree to send him an allowance each month. In return, he'll receive full control of the estate. Liam's too caught up in the idea of becoming a count to question why a literal child is being offered control of an empire. So when his father hands him a contract, he signs it without reading a single word. Once the ink is dry, his father grabs the papers, says goodbye, and heads off with his wife without another word. Liam doesn't even realize he's probably been scammed. He chooses to focus on the one thing that now matters to him. He's officially a count. And now that he has power, he's going to use it. He swears no one will ever take advantage of him again. He's going to run this empire the way he wants, and in the back of his mind, he's grateful to the one person who gave him this second chance. But that person was never trustworthy to begin with. The man who sent Liam to this world isn't done yet. He feeds off pain and misery, and there's still plenty left to squeeze out. With Liam now gone, he turns his attention back to the old world. Mika and Liam's boss are sitting together at a high-end restaurant, laughing and drinking without a care in the world. The boss chuckles, saying he almost feels guilty for how badly they wrecked Liam's life, but Mika waves it off with a cold smirk and says she doesn't feel anything for him. In her mind, he deserved to rot for wasting 10 years of her life. A group of officers suddenly surrounds the boss and tells him he's under arrest. He tries to brush it off as some mix-up, but the evidence is already in. They've got footage of him setting Liam up. And now he's looking at serious time behind bars. With her sugar daddy being dragged away, Mika's left frozen in place. The life she chased is slipping through her fingers, and all that's waiting now is misery. The guide watches from afar, feeding off every second of their downfall. But his fun isn't over yet. It's time to transfer Liam's soul into the next world, and he plans to make it even worse than the one Liam left behind. The people in that world live longer, which means Liam will have plenty of time to suffer. The guide is ready to soak in every bit of pain as Liam begins his new life. Elsewhere, that world isn't calm either. One planet is under siege by the Ghost pirates, and the enemy captain thinks victory is close. But his confidence shatters the moment several of his ships explode. Floating in the sky is a woman dressed in royal armor. Christiana, princess of the Holy Kingdom of Lib, has entered the fight. She's a ruthless warrior, and the moment she arrives, the battle shifts hard. Her blade cuts down pirates one after another. Even after the pirates begin retreating, she orders her troops to keep pushing forward. They need to leave behind a warning. Back on Liam's new planet, his custom artificial intelligence maid finally arrives. The package looks plain, which throws him off a little. His butler tells him to touch the box, so Liam reaches out, and a figure lands softly on the floor. She introduces herself as Amagi. The butler explains that Amagi is his personal maid from now on. She's programmed to serve around the clock with just one maintenance session per week. Liam isn't even listening. He's too focused on checking how the maid turned out. The butler sees him circling around her and asks what he's doing. Liam says he's just making sure the settings he chose came through the way he wanted. The butler shakes his head and says this kind of thing shouldn't be done in public. Liam smirks and tells Amagi to come with him to his room so he can do a more detailed inspection. As they walk off, the butler sighs. He's starting to worry that the boy might be growing up a little too fast. A few hours later, Liam is leaning back, enjoying a shoulder massage from Amagi. The butler steps in and asks what went on in here, but Liam waves him off, saying it's nothing to worry about. He may look like a 5-year-old, but mentally he's 36. The butler gives him a look and says that 36 is still pretty much a child in this world. Liam blinks in surprise, so Amagi steps in and explains that people here live up to 600 years, and no one's seen as an adult until they're around 100. That throws Liam for a loop, but once it sinks in, he gets excited. A long life means a lot of time to try new things, and he definitely wants Amagi by his side through all of it. The butler warns him not to get too attached though. The Empire's upper class has a deep hatred toward artificial intelligence, and if people see him getting close to one, they'll start talking. Liam doesn't understand why anyone would hate something so useful, so the butler gives him the history. A long time ago, during the Great Skynet War, artificial intelligence turned on humanity. They enslaved people, wiped out entire populations, and nearly ended human civilization. In that era of darkness, a group of heroes rose up, fought back, and reclaimed freedom. They became the founders of the empire, so the hatred toward artificial intelligence never really went away. Liam wonders why if that's the case. His mother would give him Amagi in the first place. The butler hesitates and says he was told not to say anything, but Liam reminds him that as the new count, he has the authority now. The butler lets out a quiet sigh and finally explains. Liam's parents didn't leave him a gift, but they left him a trap. They took off and vanished, dumping the Banfield family's debt on Liam's shoulders so they wouldn't have to deal with it. It turns out Liam's great-grandfather Alistair was a brilliant man who raised the Banfield name to greatness, but Liam's father was a total mess. The moment he took charge, everything started falling apart. Now the family's in ruin. They lost the rights to farmable land across the frontier. Their industries have collapsed, tax income is basically gone, and the mountain of debt keeps growing. The Banfield name is drowning, and now that Liam's wearing the title, he's the one chained to it with no way out, and the kid doesn't even realize how deep the hole really is. Somewhere across the Banfield domain on planet Hydra, a group of locals sit in a bar, drinks in hand, talking about how their new lord is supposedly a 5-year-old. One man leans back in his seat, annoyed, saying he can't stand this place because the last time a new lord took over, the taxes jumped for no clear reason, and now everyone's hoping things won't spiral the same way again. Back at the mansion, Liam sits quietly, still trying to process everything. If this territory has been drowning in debt for years, then his parents must have planned this from the start. Maybe they had him just so they could stick the Banfield name to someone else and walk away free. The thought stings a little more than he expected. In his old life, he was nothing but a disposable tool, used until there was nothing left and then tossed aside without a second thought. But this time, it's going to be different. He tells Amagi he wants her with him, not just as a servant, but as a partner, someone who can help him turn his life around. She nods without hesitation, telling him she's glad to have a purpose and that she'll follow him no matter what path he chooses. For once, Liam feels like he's not alone. But before they move forward, Liam decides to put some safeguards in place. At first, he thinks about the old 3 laws of robotics, the kind designed to protect humans. He says the first rule should be that Amagi can't harm people. Then he pauses. He doesn't care about people. What he cares about is himself, so he rewrites the rules. First, Amagi isn't allowed to do anything that could bring harm to him. Second, she has to obey every command he gives, unless it would go against the first rule. Third, she should protect herself if possible, but only as long as it doesn't break the first or second rule. With those laws set, Liam finally feels like he's starting to build something that belongs to him. Now that everything's in place, Liam tells Amagi he wants to restore the Banfield domain and asks if she has any suggestions. Amagi runs a quick system scan and eventually finds a potential solution. But before she shares it, she warns him. Since she's an artificial intelligence, her ideas might not match the Empire's standards. Still, she's equipped to handle administrative work and can support Liam in running the territory. But Liam admits he knows nothing about this world, so Amagi offers another option. She tells him about an education capsule, a device that loads 10 years worth of knowledge into your brain in just 6 months. It also improves physical strength while you're inside. Liam thinks that sounds useful, but he's worried no one will be in charge while he's undergoing the process. To fix that, he gives Amagi temporary control of the domain. The butler Brian immediately pushes back. He's not comfortable letting an artificial intelligence manage everything, but Liam tells him it's fine. Amagi won't take any action unless ordered, and there's no rule that says she can't oversee the domain for a while, so Liam puts his trust in her. Once the capsule is ready, Liam prepares to go inside. Just before he enters, he asks Amagi something he's been thinking about. He wants to know if she can feel emotions or anything like that. Amagi says she can't be certain, but when Liam asked her to stand by him earlier, something unusual happened. Her logs experienced a cache overflow. Put simply, that moment made her feel something close to happiness. That answer is more than enough for Liam. He smiles, reminds her she's in charge until he returns, and steps into the capsule to begin his next phase. After he's done soaking in the pod, it pops open and Amagi's right there waiting for him. He asks her how long he was in, and Amagi lets him know it's been 2 years since he went under. After getting dressed, Liam gets a quick update from Amagi about how things are looking in the Banfield territory. Everything seems to be running smooth, so he thanks her for keeping it all together. Liam says he wants to check the place out for himself, so Amagi decides to take him over to the battleship docks first. This is the first time Liam's ever seen his territory in person, and he's especially hooked when he spots the battle suits. He asks Amagi if he can try one, and she's more than happy to set it up for him. She explains that the armor handles the basic movements on its own. All he's got to do is picture what he wants to do, and the suit will handle the rest. Liam hops in, powers it up, and starts moving around without much trouble. Feeling hyped, Liam says he wishes he could try fighting in one. To his surprise, Amagi says she can set up a mock fight. A few minutes later, the head of the planet's defense forces, Mashita, shows up ready to spar. The moment the duel kicks off, Liam charges and swings at Mashita. Even though Mashita blocks it, he acts like Liam got the better of him. The guy's a terrible actor though, and Liam sees right through it. Not liking the fake win, Liam orders Mashita to take the fight seriously. Mashita can't say no to a direct command. As Liam charges in again, Mashita snatches the sword from him and flips him flat on his back like it's nothing. Liam's stunned, not getting how he lost so fast. Amagi explains that the suit's movements depend on what the user can imagine. Folks like Mashita, with years of real combat under their belt, have way sharper control. Feeling humiliated, Liam orders Brian to go find him a combat instructor right away. Brian tries to talk him out of it, saying there's no need for a lord to bother learning how to fight. But Liam isn't having it. Back in his old life, he was crushed under people stronger than him. If he plans to live as a true evil lord this time around, then he needs to have real strength. After a little while, Liam meets up with a guy named Yasushi, a master of the Way of the Flash. Liam's fired up because he thinks Yasushi looks seriously cool, so he introduces himself and says he wants Yasushi to be his instructor. Yasushi agrees without hesitation, but Amagi isn't thrilled. She thinks hiring Yasushi sounds risky since the guy gives off some shady vibes. Liam doesn't deny it, but to him Yasushi looks like a samurai, and that's all he needs to see. If Liam believes Yasushi will be a solid teacher, then Amagi can't stand in the way. Still, she asks him to at least make sure the guy's skills are real before locking anything down. Liam agrees and asks Yasushi to show them a little something. Yasushi nods and leads them out to a clearing in the woods where he already set up a bunch of wooden posts. Before he starts, Yasushi tells Liam he's about to reveal his secret technique, the Way of the Flash, and he won't be showing it off again. So Liam better pay close attention. Liam takes him seriously and asks Amagi to start recording so he can study it later if he needs to. Yasushi gets into position, half draws his sword and slides it back into the sheath. In the blink of an eye, every post around him splits clean in half, leaving Liam stunned. It seems unreal for a human to move that fast. Liam asks Amagi to run the footage back in slow motion so he can catch how Yasushi pulled it off. But no matter how much Amagi slows the recording down, there's no sign Yasushi ever moved his sword. Liam figures Yasushi must be moving faster than the camera can even catch, which makes him even more convinced he's the real deal. Without hesitating, he begs Yasushi to take him in as his disciple. Later that night, Yasushi heads back to the same clearing and laughs to himself, amazed that Liam fell for such a cheap trick. He had already pre-cut all the posts earlier so they would fall apart on their own, and now he's got himself a sweet salary without needing to lift a finger. At the same moment, the princess is on her way to meet with the Go's pirates to talk about peace. Go's was the one who asked for a truce, but the moment she shows up, he mocks her for coming alone. Christiana fires back, telling him she's not really alone. If he tries anything, the Alliance's entire fleet will blow his ship to pieces. It was meant to be a show of force, but Go's doesn't flinch, knowing full well the Alliance is secretly on his side. Right then, Christiana gets word that pirates have closed in on her home planet. It doesn't make any sense to her because a planet's defense line should have kept them out. Go's casually explains that her alliance wasn't exactly airtight. Turns out, some of the members she teamed up with were more than happy to flip sides once Go's gave them a better offer. At the same time, Christiana's crew alerts her that all the Alliance ships have turned their cannons toward her own vessel. She's stunned that Go's pulled it off and turned her army against her. But now she's got no choice except to hear out his demands. Meanwhile, back on Liam's world, he's been grinding hard under Yasushi's training, leaving him drained. No matter how much sweat he pours into it, he still can't pull off the Way of the Flash. He asks Amagi if there's any method to help him master it, but she's an artificial intelligence, and this kind of sword technique isn't really her specialty. For the past 3 years, Yasushi has kept Liam focused only on the basics of swordsmanship. Liam's sick of it. Sure, Amagi points out that his combat skills have gotten way sharper, but Liam's not impressed. He doesn't care about solid technique. He wants something flashy that looks awesome when he pulls it off. Later that night, Yasushi's lounging in his room reading manga like always. He still can't believe he managed to land such an easy job. Yasushi might be a scam artist, but he knows enough swordplay to get by, and for the last 3 years, all he's done is drill Liam on basic movements while raking in crazy money. He hopes the good times never end. But a moment later Liam barges in, asking Yasushi to teach him the way of the Flash. Yasushi's face drops, instantly says he's quitting, throws together some excuse, reminding Liam that he only promised to show the technique once, and if Liam's unhappy about that, there's no reason for Yasushi to stick around as his mentor. Liam panics, bows his head low, and begs for forgiveness for stepping out of line. Yasushi forgives him, but warns him not to push his luck again. As soon as Liam leaves, Yasushi slumps back, letting out a deep sigh of relief. He was terrified Liam would figure out the truth. Yasushi doesn't actually know how to do the way of the Flash. It's all been a scam from the start. Right then Liam shows up again, making Yasushi flinch, but Liam only stops by to say he's got something to handle tomorrow, so he won't be able to train. While that's going on, Christiana's stuck as a hostage in Goz's ship, locked up inside the captain's quarters. She asks him straight up what he plans to do with her. Goz grins and tells her he just wanted her to have front row seats to the real show. At first Christiana doesn't catch on, but then Goz orders his fleet to aim all their cannons at her home planet. She realizes exactly what's about to happen and starts begging him to stop, but Goz has already made up his mind. He gives the order, and Christiana's forced to sit there and watch as her planet gets wiped out. Meanwhile, back on Liam's world, he's still beating himself up for not being able to pull off the way of the Flash. But he's still got responsibilities as a lord, so he asks Amagi for the monthly report. She pulls up some graphs showing how the planet's doing. The huge debts still hanging over their heads, but production's been creeping up slow and steady. Liam feels good about trusting Amagi with managing everything because she's clearly handling business well. Still, Amagi points out that the growth rate's slower than what she was aiming for. They pumped a lot of money into programs like welfare, but the returns are way lower than what they should be for the budget and time they put in. Liam asks her to pull up the welfare program's financials. Thanks to his old accounting skills, he spots the problem almost instantly. He tells Amagi to drag in whoever's running the welfare program, and a few minutes later, the guy responsible strolls in like he owns the place. Liam doesn't waste time. He tells him if he's got an excuse, he better get it out now. The noble tries to act dumb, but Liam's not buying it. He knows the guy's been siphoning money off the welfare budget. He tried covering it up with fancy invoice tricks, but Liam's been scanning invoices long enough to know when something smells wrong. On top of that, the noble had switched vendors midway through the project. Liam presses him, asking why he made that move. The noble claims the new vendor was better, but if that were true, the program wouldn't be such a mess right now. It's obvious the guy's neck deep in corruption. Funny enough, Liam's not even that mad about it. Part of him feels like this is the kind of thing an evil lord ought to be learning how to handle anyway. Right then, Amagi lets Liam know there was an embezzlement case filed against the noble. Liam's surprised the guy even got caught and still managed to hold onto his job. But the noble quickly explains that the case got closed, and they pinned the blame on one of his subordinates. Liam checks with Amagi if that's legit, and she confirms it. Still, no real proof ever came out to back up the story, and the noble had the man executed. Liam knows this game way too well. He straight up accuses the noble of framing his own man and having him killed. The noble panics and tries to deny it, but Liam can see right through him. He grabs his sword and starts walking slowly toward the noble. The noble realizes Liam isn't buying a word of it, so he starts begging, trying to explain that every noble is doing the same thing. Ruining lives for personal gain is just how the system works. Hearing that makes Liam snap. He draws his blade and gets ready to end him right there. Amagi calls out, telling Liam to hold up. The noble keeps shouting, saying Liam is too young to get how the world really runs. But before he can finish, Liam cuts his head clean off. Still burning with anger, Liam orders Amagi to investigate all the nobles on the planet and execute the ones who are dirty. Amagi tells him he needs to cool down first. This is the first time Liam has ever taken a life. His hands are so tense he can't even drop the sword. Amagi gently helps him unclench his fingers, and when it comes to his order, she explains it would be a disaster if he wiped out all the nobles. Pretty much every noble on the planet is corrupt. Kill them all, and there would be nobody left to run anything. As a better plan, she suggests setting up a bunch of dolls to handle the administrative work, and Liam, trusting her, agrees. Sometime later, Liam's back at the loading bay. Now that he's got the basics of sword fighting down, he wants to try training with a battlesuit again. Before he can climb into one, Yasushi shows up and tells him flat out he'll never become a top-tier fighter if he keeps messing around with those automated suits. Liam turns to Mashita and asks if there's anything better. Mashita tells him there's a special suit, one that's fully manual and once belonged to his great-grandfather Alistair. Problem is, nobody before or after Alistair has ever been able to handle it. Later on, Yasushi ends up inside an old shrine, complaining under his breath about how fast Liam's been advancing. The training was supposed to be meaningless, yet somehow Liam's actually getting better. Yasushi knows the act won't last forever. If he wants to keep milking this cash cow, he'll have to throw more fake challenges Liam's way. While walking around, he leans on a wall without thinking, and that's when it clicks open and reveals a massive mobile knight that looks ancient. For Yasushi, this is perfect. Another distraction to keep Liam busy and the money flowing. Around that same time, the evil deity known as the Guide is drifting through the cosmos looking for negative energy. He makes a stop on Earth and spots a guy getting all worked up because his food order came out wrong. The bitterness hits just right, but the Guide's in the mood for something deeper. He wants something gourmet. Back in Liam's world, Yasushi has already told Liam to repair the old mobile knight Avid. As part of his training, Liam takes it seriously and starts prepping everything. Out in the field, he's practicing Yasushi's fake technique, the flash, with his butler Brian standing off to the side. Brian's feeling a little proud since Avid belonged to Liam's great-great-grandfather. But he's also annoyed because he doesn't think using some ancient relic is going to help Liam much. Liam believes otherwise. He figures if he can master the oldest unit out there, his skills will skyrocket. Being his usual nosy self, Brian tells Liam to quit chasing after this nonsense and calls the flash technique a waste of time. Liam doesn't flinch. He believes if he keeps pushing and giving it his all, he'll get stronger. Elsewhere, Amagi shows up at Avid's hangar, clearly not buying into anything Yasushi has said. She doubts the man's even a real swordsman. Still, Liam asked her to bring the unit back to life, so despite her suspicions, she gets to work. Even if it's a pile of outdated junk, she's going to do her best to make sure it runs. Not long after that, Lieutenant Niaz Carlin, a weapons factory engineer, touches down on Liam's planet with her crew to handle the Avid repairs. Liam meets her at the port to wish her luck with the job. While they're talking, Niaz spots Amagi standing nearby and raises an eyebrow, wondering what an AI doll is doing next to a count. Liam takes it the wrong way and gets defensive fast. He tells her straight up he can have an AI doll if he wants, and anyone who's got a problem with that is getting punished. Turns out, Liam read her reaction completely wrong. Niaz isn't judging him. She's just a massive android nerd and is already geeking out hard over Amagi. The moment she realizes Amagi's custom-made, she starts checking out the details like a total creep. Things almost cross the line when she goes to lift Amagi's skirt, but Liam shuts that down quick, warning her to cut it out. After that awkward scene, they head over to the warehouse where Avid's being stored. First thing Niaz says is that this thing looks like scrap metal and tells Liam he'd be better off getting a new unit instead of wasting cash fixing it. Liam makes it clear he's not interested in her factory's off-the-shelf junk. The only mobile knight he's riding is Avid. Niaz doesn't like the sound of that. She tells him it's going to be a huge pain to restore it. The parts are outdated, hard to get, and on top of that, Avid's size is way bigger than standard models, which means the repair bill's going to be nasty. Liam couldn't care less. Money's not an issue. To work around the missing parts, he suggests using components from the newest models to boost Avid's performance. But there's one thing he won't budge on. Since Yasushi told him to master manual piloting, Liam orders Niaz to keep the controls fully manual and strip out all assist systems. Before heading out, Liam also makes a request he wants some flair added in. Specifically, he asks her to include a rocket punch feature where Avid's fist can launch off mid-battle like a missile and slam into enemies on command. Right around then, Yasushi shows up at the warehouse to check on how things are going with Avid's repairs. The moment he spots Niaz, his brain short-circuits. His eyes lock on and won't let go. The guy falls head over heels instantly, nosebleed and all. Trying to pull himself together, he wipes his face, straightens his back, and walks up to introduce himself like a gentleman. Problem is, Niaz doesn't even notice he exists. She's deep in conversation with Liam and completely blanks him. Yasushi doesn't give up. He throws out his name again and even shoots his shot, asking her out on a date right in front of everyone. But she still brushes him off, focused on explaining to Liam why adding those ridiculous special attacks to Avid isn't going to work. Liam promises he'll pay whatever it takes, and that's when Niaz gives in. Truth is, squeezing cash out of Liam was her plan from the start. So if he's paying, she's building. Yasushi, now burning with jealousy, watches the two of them talk like they're in some cheesy rom-com. He can't stand it. Furious that Liam's chatting it up with the girl of his dreams, Yasushi decides it's time for punishment. He throws a new training challenge at Liam, one way more brutal than before. Liam now has to train blindfolded while standing on a slippery log floating down a river. As if that's not enough, Yasushi starts firing tennis balls at him with a custom-built launcher. None of this is about swordsmanship. It's straight-up revenge for stealing the girl Yasushi never had a chance with. But he keeps it professional on the surface, saying this will help Liam sharpen his instincts. Liam, struggling to stay upright, grits his teeth. The sword feels heavier than ever thanks to the weight strapped to it, but he powers through anyway. Under his master's ridiculous guidance, he focuses hard, trying to dodge the barrage by relying on his senses alone. Over on the pirate battleship, Commander Goes makes his way down to the prison cells. Inside, he's keeping a group of captured women locked up, including Princess Christiana. He doesn't give them any explanation but tells Christiana specifically that it's time to move. They've just reached their destination, Treasure Island. He gets real close to her and admits something twisted. He wants to keep her as one of his treasures, claiming she's so beautiful it makes him shake. Then he drags her off toward the lab, where his assistant is already waiting. They pass by the room Goes used for past victims, revealing a woman who's been horribly altered. He casually tosses her out of the ship and turns to Christiana, saying she's next. He wants to make her his new project. With no time limit and no one stopping him, he asks his assistant for ideas. The guy suggests something cruel crippling her so she can't run. Goes takes it even further, talking about altering her completely, treating her like an object. Christiana looks around in horror, spotting dozens of test tubes with disfigured women inside. If nobody shows up to stop this, she knows she's done for. A couple of weeks later, back on Liam's side, Nias finally wraps up the core repairs on Avid. She's added a bunch of extra features Liam requested, but the job isn't totally finished yet. She brings Liam over to the cockpit to walk him through how the machine operates. And of course, being Nias, she can't resist getting weird about it. She takes her top off mid-demo, claiming it's the only proper way to show off her so-called treasures. Liam follows her directions, doing his best to keep his eyes focused anywhere else, and fires up the engine. Once activated, the system scans Liam and locks him in as the sole pilot. From now on, no one else can control Avid. Liam's pumped and tries to move it for the first time, but ends up faceplanting. Nias explains the reason there's no automated assist like the newer models. Avid doesn't have an auto-balance feature. You can't just push a button and expect it to walk. But there's a silver lining. If Liam manages to master this machine the hard way, it'll move like an extension of his own body. Feeling hyped up, Liam stands tall and slowly guides Avid forward, keeping the balance better than before. He walks the unit out of the warehouse, and while they're out there, Nias reminds him how important it is to keep a solid mental image while controlling the mobile knight. Trying to help, she leans in close to adjust the controls. But when her chest brushes up against him by accident, Liam's mental focus takes a wild turn. Avid's hands suddenly start moving in a weird, suggestive way, like it's trying to reach for something. Nias immediately catches on to what's going through Liam's head. Liam swears it wasn't intentional, blaming the whole thing on the robot. Not far off, Yasushi gets suspicious, thinking Liam is up to something nasty inside that cockpit. Meanwhile, Brian is off to the side tearing up, proud that his young master might finally be showing interest in an actual woman. Yasushi starts gritting his teeth, furious with jealousy. He channels all that rage into cooking up even more brutal training sessions for Liam. Days pass, and Liam still can't pull off his master's secret move. He starts wondering if he's just not cut out for it. Amagi steps in and says maybe the real issue isn't him, it's Yasushi's teaching. She's been doubting Yasushi for a while now. Liam, loyal as ever, defends his master. He starts thinking there's probably magic behind the flash technique. Maybe it's not the sword that's cutting the logs, but the magical energy channeled through it. He begins training under that idea, trying to pour magic into each swing. Over months, even years, Liam keeps grinding that one move until something finally clicks. He ends up mastering a technique that technically never existed in the first place. Now fully grown and confident, Liam wants to prove himself. He picks up his sword, swings it from a distance, and slices a wooden log clean in half without even touching it. Yasushi watches in complete disbelief. That move was supposed to be a scam. It wasn't real, but somehow Liam made it real. Inside, Yasushi is panicking, but he keeps a straight face and tells Liam he's improved, then adds that he still has a long way to go. 2 weeks down the line, Liam's out in space on his battleship with Amagi when a report comes in from one of his officers. Muke, a small old plant that's only been running for energy production, just got hit by a pirate fleet. The soldiers stationed at Muke are already in combat, doing their best to fight off the pirates' mobile knights. But the report says they're outnumbered and probably won't hold out for long. Amagi steps in with a plan. She suggests they use Mukei's blind spot and the local gravity field to launch a surprise ambush. Liam likes the sound of that and gives the order to all his ships capture the pirates if possible. But as for the front lines, he's heading there himself. Brian overhears this and immediately tries to stop him, begging Liam not to throw himself into danger. Liam brushes it off. He's no coward, and besides, he's trained under a legendary samurai. This is the perfect chance to show the Empire what he's made of. He jumps into Avid, fires up the engine, and shoots toward Mukei. From behind enemy lines, Liam makes his entrance. He slashes through pirate knights one after the other before they can even react. In no time, the battlefield shifts. For flair, he fires off a beaming rifle shot, frying a pirate knight with a blast of plasma. Then, without hesitation, he unleashes his signature technique, the Way of the Flash, cutting down dozens more from a distance. The pirates start panicking and scramble to retreat back to their ships. Liam doesn't let up. He sends out Rocket Punch, a feature that's flashy on its own. But as soon as it lands, he grabs his comm and calls Nia's mid-battle. He tells her the move's not right, he wanted a flying fist, not a rocket-powered punch. Right then, Amagi chimes in with an update. They managed to capture less than 10% of the enemy ships. Around 30% got blown up, and the rest slipped away. Liam hears that and still counts it as a win. He turns to Amagi and tells her she handled her part like a true vice commander. Over on the other side, Goze has just gotten word that the pirate squad he sent to raid Banfield's resource planet completely blew it, and he's livid. The scientist tries to explain that the crew misjudged the Banfield defense forces and had to retreat or risk losing every last ship. Sounds reasonable enough, but Goze doesn't care. He's planning to execute every pirate who turned tail. In his eyes, cowards don't deserve to breathe. Once he's done cleaning house, he's going to make an example by heading out himself to finish the job. Before leaving, he throws a sick grin at the beat-up, half-alive Christiana and tells her he'll be back later to play. At the same time, Liam and his fleet make it back from battle, and he's in a great mood. Not only did they manage to protect the resource planet, but they also snagged a bunch of pirate ships. Thanks to Imperial law, if you take a pirate ship, everything on board becomes yours. And lucky for them, those ships were packed with loot. When Liam hears treasure, he starts picturing gold bars and shiny coins. But Brian breaks the news that it's not that kind of treasure. After they finish checking the haul, Amagi reports that the cargo's full of rare metals like orichalcum and adamantite. But Liam's not impressed. Those are only good for making weapons, and he was hoping for something flashy like a crown covered in diamonds. Brian doesn't get the hype since diamonds in this world are just pretty but useless stones. Orichalcum and adamantite, on the other hand, are way more valuable. Still, Liam couldn't care less. He's stuck on gold, since he's so obsessed with it. Brian lets him know they did find some gold mixed in with the haul. Liam immediately lights up and tells Brian to start minting a mountain of gold coins with it. Brian figures if they're going down that road, maybe they should start turning all the other metals into coins too. But Liam shuts that down quick. He's not that dumb. He wants those rare metals used to craft weapons for his military. That's when Amagi steps in and drops a bigger issue on him. They don't even have a blacksmith, so none of those plans can move forward yet. And that's not the only thing. Amagi tells him there's something else he needs to know. Banfield's military technically has about 10,000 ships on the roster, but after running diagnostics, most of them turned out to be junk. When they called for action against the pirates, only 30% of the fleet was actually able to launch. Liam's a little shocked they managed to win that pirate fight with just 30% of their fleet, but that's only because the pirates didn't take them seriously. As far as the rest of the Empire's concerned, Banfield territory is dirt poor. So the pirates figured they'd have an easy time snatching the resource planet. Normally they wouldn't be wrong, but what they didn't count on was Liam jumping into the cockpit and flipping the whole script with his mech skills. Thing is, if the pirates had gone all in, Banfield wouldn't have stood a chance. Liam hates knowing that over 70% of his fleet is useless junk, so Amagi suggests they should scrap the broken ones. Brian freaks out right away, saying that if they toss all those busted ships, their military stats will tank, and other territories will start seeing them as soft targets. Amagi gets that, but keeping dead weight comes with a massive bill in maintenance fees, and Liam's not about to waste money on that. He backs Amagi up. To settle Brian's nerves, Amagi points out that they can just buy brand new ships to replace the ones they scrap. Thanks to the rare metals they scored from the pirates, they've got more than enough to build a whole new fleet. So budget-wise, they're good. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Nia's is standing in front of a room full of brass, showing off her latest ship design. She's proud of what she built, says it's got 7% more output, better responsiveness, and it's way easier to maintain. She promises that if the army uses her ships, their fleet will level up across the board. Next up is Lieutenant Ulysses Morisil from the 3rd Weapons Factory, and what she's selling couldn't be more different. It's a new model built like a luxury cruise liner. Think floating hotel with polished halls, entertainment lounges, and all the vibes of a 5-star resort. Basically, your crew won't ever want to leave. Now, Nia's ship clearly wipes the floor in terms of raw firepower, but hers doesn't have an indoor golf course. So naturally, the Imperial Army decides to go with Ulysses. Nia's tries to push back, arguing her model's the better fighter since she poured everything into boosting performance. But Ulysses isn't backing down. She says her ships can fight too. Besides, strength isn't just about weapons. It also depends on who's piloting. And if your crew can hit the bar or chill in a hot tub after a mission, they'll be more than ready to give their all in the next one. As they head out of the conference hall, Ulysses can't help but gloat about the Empire choosing her over Nia's. But Nia's isn't throwing in the towel. She might have lost this round, but she swears she'll prove that her ship's the real deal when it counts out on the battlefield. Problem is, she blew her entire budget on this pitch. Unless she can find someone crazy enough to buy up all her rejected ships, she's staring bankruptcy in the face. And who'd be dumb enough to invest in a ship model the Imperial Army passed on? Then it hits her. Knows one guy who might just be impulsive enough to go for it. If Liam was willing to sink a fortune into fixing a rusted old mech, buying some unpopular warships should be right up his alley. While all that's been going down, the guide has been chilling on Earth, feeding off the misery of random people for fun. But none of that compares to the suffering Liam's supposed to be going through. Last time he saw the kid, he dumped him into a new world with deadbeat parents and a pile of inherited debt. By now, the guide figures Liam's territory must be a disaster zone. So when he checks in, he's expecting wreckage and despair. Instead, he finds a thriving planet, and the guide nearly chokes on his own surprise. Liam's land is booming, and the guide's furious his plan fell apart. Still, there's one last thing he wants to look into. Back when Liam asked for a sword instructor, the guide made sure to hook him up with Yasushi, a total fraud who couldn't swing a blade if his life depended on it. No way Liam actually picked up any real skills from that clown. At the same time, over at a bar, some locals are talking about how great life's gotten under Liam's leadership. Everyone's happy just to have him as their lord. But Yasushi's off to the side, looking stressed out of his mind. To him, Liam's not a lord, he's a monster. Yasushi knew from day one that he was a fraud, and he figured the best way to keep up the act was by throwing Liam impossible tasks non-stop. But Liam didn't just survive them, he mastered moves even Yasushi never imagined were real. The guide hears Yasushi talking and has no clue what the guy's rambling about, so he decides to check it out himself. He finds Liam deep in training and watches him obliterate a wooden post without even laying a hand on it. The guide can't believe his eyes. He never gave Liam any kind of special power, so everything the kid's accomplished is from sheer effort alone. Now the guide's sitting there trying to wrap his head around it. How could Liam be thriving in a world like this? And the truth is, Liam's just as surprised. Getting ditched by your parents and buried in debt at 5 years old usually wrecks a person. But somehow, he flipped it all around. His territory's growing strong, the economy's booming, and Liam's out here living the dream. All thanks to the same guy who tried to ruin him. All the good vibes radiating off Liam are starting to make the guide sick to his stomach. And he's not handling it well. After soaking up a little of Yasushi's miserable energy, he steadies himself and starts cooking up a new scheme to mess with Liam's life. Sure, Liam's riding high right now, but the higher you climb, the harder the drop hits when everything falls apart. And the guide plans to be the one who pulls the floor out from under him. At the moment, Liam's talking ships with Amagi. He asks if there's been any progress on getting replacements, and Amagi lets him know the Imperial Army's rolling out a new fleet, which means they're dumping the older models at a discount. Even if they're not the newest, Imperial ships are no joke. Liam's all in, but Amagi says there's a catch. To get the ships, they'll have to take on the crew that comes with them. Basically, the Empire's using the sale to ditch a bunch of people they don't want anymore. Hiring that many soldiers won't be cheap, but with how strong their finances are right now, Amagi says it's doable. Plus, most of the crew are seasoned officers. Bringing them on board could give Liam's army a solid upgrade. The way she lays it out, it sounds like a win, so Liam gives the green light. The guide hears all this and sees his chance. He's gonna rig it so the soldiers Liam gets are all super serious, by the book types. The kind who follow orders to the letter and have no patience for nonsense, since Liam keeps claiming he's some dark and evil overlord. The guide's betting it won't take long before those upright recruits flip on him and stage a full-blown mutiny. While all that's brewing, Yasushi is at home nursing a hangover and questioning all his life choices. That's when he hears Nia's voice and suddenly jumps into action, cleans himself up real quick and snaps back into his wise old master persona. Nia wasn't sure what to think of him at first, but after seeing how much Liam improved under his guidance, she's convinced Yasushi must be some hidden genius. Yasushi's caught off guard that she came all the way here to see him. In his head, he starts thinking maybe he's got a shot. But really, she's just there for business. She wants tips on how to approach Liam with her pitch without sounding pushy. But the way she phrases her questions makes Yasushi think she's asking how to flirt. She says she needs advice on how to get a man in a good mood, and Yasushi's brain short-circuits. Now he's low-key panicking, trying not to look like a creep, but his brain's already doing backflips. Nia stays dead serious, saying she needs to know how to win a guy over. Yasushi completely snaps. He starts unloading every fantasy he ever stored away, stuff he probably whispered to his pillow at night when the lights were off. He's tossing ideas faster than a kid flipping through late-night cable, like she asked for a tip, and he handed her a shopping list straight out of a cosplay fever dream. Nia's goes quiet for a few seconds, totally stunned by the way Yasushi just laid out all his thoughts. He starts sweating, worried he might have said too much, but Nia's calmly looks at him and asks if stockings would help too. Yasushi's surprised she doesn't think he's weird, and tells her stockings work just fine. Nia's nods, thanks him for the advice, and heads out. A few hours later, she shows up at Liam's castle wearing the exact outfit Yasushi described, putting her full trust in the plan. Liam might be a bit too trusting sometimes, but he's not clueless. He spots what she's doing right away. Knowing Nia's, she's definitely here to sell something. She admits she wants him to buy her newest battleship model, but Liam shuts it down immediately. She begs him to at least hear the pitch first, but Liam says there's no need. He already bought a bunch of used ships from the Imperial Army, and he doesn't need any more. Still, Nia tries to win him over with her ship's performance data. And yeah, they do seem strong, but Liam tells her if they're that good, she should go sell them to the Empire. Nia admits she already tried that, but she lost the showcase and didn't sell a single one. Now she's asking if he'd be willing to take even just 100 or 200 of them, says it would help her out big time. She even offers to help him secure a loan if money's tight. That's when Liam shuts her down harder. He tells her to stop, because even the thought of going back into debt makes his skin crawl. Nia starts to panic. She's running out of options and getting desperate. So in a last-ditch move, she starts taking off her clothes, hoping it'll change his mind. But it just hits Liam like a bad memory reminds him of how his wife in his past life probably seduced his boss behind his back. He knows Nia's isn't like that, but seeing her act this way makes her look so pitiful. Just to stop the scene from getting worse, he asks Amagi if there's any money left in the budget. Amagi checks and says they've got enough to cover about 300 of Nia's ships. Nia lights up with gratitude and promises to get them delivered right away. But as she's walking out, she trips over her own feet and crashes face first into the floor. Liam watches her go and can't help but admit she's gorgeous. Her designs are brilliant, but she's got that kind of chaotic energy like she runs on caffeine and bad ideas. Out in the hall, Nia is already shouting to her team to prep 300 ships for shipment. Her coordinator's stunned she managed to close a deal, but Nia proudly says it was all thanks to her flawless charm. Back in the throne room, Liam leans back while Amagi gently cleans his ears. With everything going his way, he's more relaxed than he's ever been. Not long after, Nia delivers all 300 battleships that she forced Liam into ordering. Around the same time, the battleships Liam bought from the Imperial Army also arrive. Amagi gets a receipt sent over from the Imperial Army via quantum teleportation, and she keeps emphasizing the word quantum as she asks Liam to sign off on it. Liam jokingly places his thumb on her soft launch buttons, calling it his quantum thumbprint got him right there. Elsewhere, Yasushi is hanging around at home, plotting revenge against Liam for always stealing Nia's away from him. He can't believe Nia's wasted all her treasures on that doll-obsessed brat. Imagining all the horrible things Liam probably did to poor innocent Nia's just makes him even angrier, and he swears he'll make Liam pay. As Yasushi's rage boils over, the guide quietly watches, enjoying every second of the negative energy Yasushi radiates. The guide's thrilled to imagine what Yasushi's bitterness could lead to, hoping it'll eventually cause Liam's downfall. After putting his trust in this con man, the guide moves on to another realm, seeking even more negative emotions to feed on. Meanwhile, Nia's is busy showing Liam around one of the battleships she built. Liam didn't expect anything fancy or stylish, in fact. He wasn't expecting much at all from someone as chaotic as Nia's, but somehow, the interior still disappoints him. Nia's explains that luxury interiors are useless in battle, but Liam doesn't care about practicality. He just wants nice decor. Nias knows she can't change his mind, and she definitely isn't adding any fancy stuff. So they agree to disagree and move on to discussing how to operate the ship. She briefs Liam on how to pilot the ship, going over details like initial power settings and how often he'll need to swap out fuel. She even tries selling him on a loyalty card, claiming it'll save him money on maintenance fees, but Liam immediately turns her down. Moving on, Nias shows Liam the throne installed on the battleship, which still has its protective film. She eagerly starts peeling it off, practically begging him to seal the deal already. She tries enticing him by offering to let him thumbprint her soft launch buttons too, but Liam's reaction is total disappointment. Now Nias is stuck wondering if Liam swings the other way or something. Liam just wants this whole ordeal over with, so he agrees to sign the receipt. But Nias isn't done yet. She asks him for another favor, hoping he'll give her the pirate ships he seized recently. Liam refuses outright, saying he's already got plans to add those ships to his own fleet. Nias keeps buzzing around Liam, greedily insisting he hand over some pirate ships. So Amagi finally steps in, suggesting they trade a few ships to Nias in exchange. She'll have to modify and repair the rest for them. Liam's instantly on board since all these pirate ships are practically scrap metal anyway. Nias eagerly accepts, revealing she really just wants the ships so she can study their tech. Turns out, the pirates' gear is totally unfamiliar and comes from outside Imperial territory, making it insanely valuable to a nerd like Nias. Before finalizing the deal, Liam decides to take a look inside one of the pirate ships himself, dragging Amagi and Nias along into one that's still somewhat intact. The moment they step in, Liam notices the unique interface. There's even a classic pirate helm right in the middle of the control room, and he's immediately obsessed. He loves the design so much that he announces he'll be installing a helm exactly like this on his own battleship. Nias, being the normie she is, launches into a long rant about how impractical it would be, but Liam quickly shuts her up, declaring that as a man of culture, if he wants it, he's getting it practical or not. Nias ignores his stubbornness and starts geeking out, exploring every corner of the room and getting excited over every little detail. While Nias is nerding out, Liam spots a tiny glowing dog wandering off into another room, and curiosity gets the best of him. He follows the dog with Amagi close behind, and it eventually leads them straight into the navigation room. As Liam steps forward, his foot triggers a hidden mechanism in the floor, lighting up a hologram that displays the ship's recent routes. Amagi immediately starts analyzing the data and sees that the pirate ship has been terrorizing the entire empire, always ending up near a warp gate out in the border regions. Turns out that zone is a lawless area, completely outside Imperial control, and also happens to be right on the front lines of a war between the Empire and another nation. Liam quickly realizes this warp gate must be leading directly to the pirates' hideout, and after examining the coordinates, Amagi pinpoints the exact location of their secret base. She tries to give Liam a scientific breakdown of how difficult reaching this place would be, explaining stuff like the abnormal orbital radius and why getting there is nearly impossible. But Liam tunes all that out. He's already picturing a hidden island bursting with the pirates' greatest treasures, convinced they must be using it as their main loot stash. Even though Liam's imagination is clearly running wild, Amagi lets him call the shots on what to do next. Liam, pumped up by his treasure island fantasy, excitedly announces that they're setting out immediately to hunt down that pirate loot. Not long after, Goz gets word that Liam has already kicked off an attack, crushing some of his guys at the front line. Furious, Goz drags those underlings in front of him, deciding they'll pay dearly for disgracing the pirate name by losing to some trashy count. But before dealing with these pathetic losers, Goz orders all his remaining men to bring him Liam's head, sending his entire fleet out to the battlefield. Meanwhile, Liam and his own fleet are heading straight to the warp gate that leads directly to the pirate hideout. But they're stopped immediately because the Empire demands an outrageous toll fee for warp gate usage. The officer in charge contacts Liam, explaining that warping all 7,000 ships such a huge distance would cost a ton of money. Liam casually promises to pay later once the job is done, but the officer doesn't buy it for a second. Liam then asks Amagi if she can find someone to vouch for their credibility. But unfortunately, they don't have connections here. Liam tries explaining the situation again, insisting he's just going to fight the pirates. But that only makes things worse if Liam can't even guarantee he'll make it back alive. There's no way the Empire will trust him to pay up afterwards. Liam didn't bother bringing any money, and since it took several days just to get here, he can't exactly turn back. Frustrated, Liam demands to speak to the officer's manager, but the officer smugly informs him he's already the highest-ranking official present. Liam throws a brief tantrum and angrily ends the call. coming up with a new plan to visit the officer face to face and negotiate directly. While Liam tries to figure out how to convince them to let him through the Pomonia gate without paying a single credit, Goes casually rolls up to the same gate in his spaceship. Thanks to his deep connections, even though he's clearly the villain here, he doesn't have to beg or bargain with anyone. It's true money really makes the world go round. He calls up the warp gate, and the guy who answers immediately greets him like an old friend, asking where Goes wants to warp from Pomonia. Goes calmly says he's heading to the Domus gate, which puzzles the guy since everybody knows Domus is practically empty, offering nothing worthwhile for someone like Goes. He asks why Goes would even bother traveling to such a worthless wasteland. But Goes coldly replies it's none of his damn business. Since he's got the cash, there's no reason for anyone to deny him entry. He pays the fee immediately and gets ready to jump through the gate. At the same time, Liam shows up at the warp gate himself, hoping he can talk his way through. He asks to enter, and the officer says there's no issue until he immediately asks for the gate fee. Liam tries to flex a little, bragging about being a noble and promising he'll get them the money later. But the attendant doesn't even blink. When that doesn't work, Liam dials it back and starts begging, saying he really needs to go, but the officer's still not moved. Liam tries to add some flair to the drama, throwing in fake tears and a story about needing to visit his sick mother. The guy looks at Liam's fleet and jokes that maybe she needs a whole navy to recover. Realizing that excuse flopped, Liam switches it up and says his mother should at least see his fleet one last time before she goes. The officer still isn't buying it and tells him to go get the money if it's that important. Before Liam can keep pushing, the officer gets a call about Goes' clearance and leaves to deal with it. Liam is fuming now that none of his tricks are working. He starts pacing, then spots that glowing dog again and decides to follow it. The dog leads him to the warp control room, just as the staff are reviewing Goes' passage. They notice Liam's ship in the waiting area too, and realize things could turn ugly fast. Since they already accepted payment from Goes without checking where he was going, they know this could blow up in their faces. Instead of fixing it, they all quietly slip out and claim they were on break when it happened. After they clear out, Liam walks into the empty room. He sees the warp gate screen and spots a pirate ship near the Pomonia gate. He figures the officer must have felt guilty and let him through, clearing the room so no one would know. He notices the warps are set in opposite directions and assumes it's a mistake. He adjusts the settings himself, not realizing he just threw off Goes' path. But since Goes warps away without any issue, he never realizes anything went wrong. Immediately, Amagi calls Liam back. When he returns, she tells him they've gotten a letter of credibility not from some noble, but from Nia's, since they've already bought plenty from her. Liam smiles, glad to hear one good turn deserves another. He thanks Nia's, saying the officers were about to cave anyway, but now that they have official backing, getting through the gate should be easy. Liam immediately orders Amagi to enter the wormhole, and their journey to Pomonia Gate finally begins. Luckily for them, Goes and his crew have already left their base, so Liam's about to catch them totally off guard. Meanwhile, Goes starts losing patience. He was supposed to arrive at Domo's gate within 30 minutes, but they've been traveling way longer than expected. He asks his pilot, who's just as confused, but soon they see a gate ahead and assume it must be their destination. Completely unaware of Liam's earlier interference, they confidently enter the gate and suddenly alarms are going off everywhere. They realize they're surrounded by several battleships, fully armed and ready to fight. Goes' crew panics, quickly figuring out they've warped straight into an Imperial Army zone. It's a disaster for them, but perfect for Liam. When Liam finally arrives at his destination, Amagi attempts to verify their location, but Liam doesn't need confirmation. He can already see the pirate ships clearly, so he knows they've found the treasure island. Amagi scans the ships and realizes none of them are even powered up yet. They're completely unprepared. Liam immediately decides it's the perfect chance to strike and orders Amagi to launch the fleet. She sends their ships forward to start attacking, and Liam personally boards his robot, Avid. Within seconds, he unleashes a massive assault, destroying every pirate ship with rocket punches and crushing anything still standing. All this destruction unfolds without Goes knowing his base is under attack, and it's not clear yet what's happening to him over at the Imperial Army gate he mistakenly entered. After setting all the pirate ships ablaze, Amagi reports to Liam that everything's burning, but that's still not enough. He came for treasure and intends to claim it. He orders Amagi to deploy the mobile knights, and they immediately target the rocky island ahead. Liam watches eagerly from his ship, ready to start hunting for pirate loot. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, it makes all the difference.